One got knocked down, he won't get up again. The other went knocked him down. One got knocked down, and now he's fucking dead. The other went knocked him out. Combo breaker!
Yes, Borderlands and Overwatch, known for their over-the-top weapons and characters, but yet they're still bright and colorful. I mean, what the hell, man? But when it comes down to raw firepower and strength, well, you know that there's only one thing you need. That's downright insanity to combo in with those things. And there's only two teams you would instantly think of when talking about that stuff. That's right, today's combatants are Junkrat Roadhog, the crazy outback psychos, and Krieg and Tiny Tina, the psycho destroyers of the Borderlands. Ha! Junkrat and Roadhog! Man, I love these two. They are fun to play, they're hilarious, plus, I mean, you can just easily wreck shop with these two heroes. So, on to Arsenal. Junkrat carries a grenade launcher that fires grenades that explode on contact with an enemy, or bounce off walls if they hit a wall instead. He also carries concussive mines that he can throw and explode in midair or when they land that knock back foes and hurt them severely. He can also use these mines to propel himself through the air with no damage to himself. He also has these steel bear traps that can catch an opponent and not only dealing damage, but holding them in place for about 10 seconds. And of course, there is Junkrat's ultimate ability, the Rip Tire, where he takes that big-ass tire off his back, puts it on the ground, and lets it rip. He can then control it to not only go forward and backwards and whatnot, but also jump and run up walls, and of course, it can explode, doing massive damage to his victims. And upon death with Junkrat's neutral, I wouldn't really say neutral, but with one of his abilities, he drops multiple bombs that explode like a second after they drop. But that's only upon death. So now on to Roadhog's arsenal. Roadhog wields his scrap gun, a shotgun that fires scrap metal at foes at close range, or he can fire at a mid-range shot that fires in a cluster and then bursts out later. He also wields a chain hook that he can use to throw out and grab his victims. Not only that, but it temporarily stuns the victims, which is really impressive. He also carries a canister of hydrogen, a mix of chemicals and lead paint, which he can inhale to heal himself a significant amount. And lead paint? Jesus, man, Roadhog's a badass. He's literally inhaling lead paint and healing a huge amount of his health. Jeez. And there's also his ultimate ability, where he loads a big-ass pile of scrap into his gun and fires it real quick, doing a shit ton of damage and knockback. Now, Junkrat and Roadhog are pretty strong, as they've destroyed cars and skyscrapers, and they've shown the strength necessary to harm characters like Winston, who can survive punches from Doomfist. As you know, Doomfist can level a skyscraper. They've also fought hordes of Omnics on their own. I mean, they're ridiculous. We've seen Roadhog rip apart cars with nothing but his hook. While Junkrat isn't the fastest due to his peg leg, he is capable of moving faster with his conch mines, and he can draw his gun and shoot at foes quicker than other heroes like 76 and Tracer. Now, before they could do the same thing, which is quite impressive. Now, Roadhog, despite his bigger body, is capable of reacting and hooking some of Overwatch's fastest heroes. Not to mention, if they ever need that extra bit of speed, they can get into their motorcycle and sidecar. Junkrat's also pretty durable. He constantly uses explosives on himself, and he survived huge-ass explosions that could level buildings, and Roadhog has survived the same things, and they've even fought hordes of Omnics before with ease, meaning they must be durable enough to survive some gunfire. Now, Junkrat is a sociopath, and, that's nothing really too, crazy, but he wants nothing more than to blow up the big business buildings and all the people in them. He also, doesn't like Omnics and just likes blowing them the hell up. He also seems to suffer from insanity, whereas Roadhog, on the other hand, despite being brute, is actually quite smart. He's successfully heisted millions of dollars in, just crimes alone. He's actually the inventor of his own scrap gun, and he makes his own hydrogen at his house. But these two aren't perfect. You see, Roadhog's scrap gun has a shitty range, and the whole hog ultimate ability requires him to hand crank the weapon to fire at this rate. Now, if he ever stops spinning the crank, he can't do it as fast. Now, Junkrat is also insane and suffers ridiculously long-lasting effects from a reactor meltdown, and he seems to have ADD. But these two are a great team. They've worked together on countless crimes, and despite Junkrat's stupidity, they've been successful on multiple missions. Oh, I freaking love Borderlands. That game is so awesome, and with the hype of Borderlands 3 right around the corner, I figure it's about time we bring some Borderlands onto Combo Breaker. And who else better to start with than some of my favorite characters? So let's go ahead and talk about powers and arsenal, starting off with Krieg. Krieg wields a variety of guns like shotguns, sniper rifles, pistols, SMGs, assault rifles, and bazookas, as well as grenades that all have elemental effects like explosives, fires, electric, acid, and even slag. Slag, when applied to an enemy, makes the opponent more vulnerable to damage. But his primary weapon is his buzz axe, a metal like tetanus handle with a buzzsaw attached to it, and he can use this to just absolutely shred people. Not to mention, he also has a shield that protects his body until it's broken. Alright, now on to Krieg's just a ridiculously extensive skill tree. While I will be factoring all his skills, I'm only going to touch on important ones. So his Vault Hunter skill is his Buzzsaw Rampage, where he gets a boost in melee damage, and with every kill he fully restores his health, and he gets an infinite number of Buzz Axes to throw at his opponents. When Krieg kills an opponent, he gets a stack of Bloodlust. For each stack, he gains increased damage on weapon swap speed, and it lessens his grenade fuse time and increases his Buzz Axe Rampage time limit. He can also strap dynamite to each Buzz Axe for throwing them, and they fucking explode on contact. He's got his Blood Explosion ability that basically upon contact with the enemy, or upon killing an enemy, they explode into an element of, whatever killed them. He also has the Hellborn skill tree that gives him quite the unique set of abilities, such as the Burn Baby Burn and the Fuel the Fire abilities, that basically mean when Krieg lights an opponent on fire, he lights himself on fire, which increases Krieg's damage output as well, but it also does harm him. And while on fire, he also takes less damage from enemy attacks, and while on fire, he gains increased magazine size and fire rates, and he can light himself on fire with any and all elemental damage at all, plus his Buzz Axe can actually ignite foes. Krieg can also breathe fucking fire and do elemental damage actually heals him. But one of Krieg's best powers is his Raving Retribution. With this, any enemy that hurts Krieg spawns a fireball that flies directly at that opponent and hits them. But we still have the Mania skill tree to talk about. If Krieg's magazine is empty and his shield is down, he gets a huge boost in melee damage. But with the Pull the Pin ability, upon death, Krieg will drop a freaking grenade that detates and kills nearby enemies. He can also take tons of damage from teammates to further increase his damage and increase his rampage, the time before he can use it again. If he does do overkill damage, he actually takes that extra damage that would have been done to the dead opponent and takes it himself, increasing his own damage output. And when Krieg goes down and to fight for his life, he can throw freaking dynamite. He can also instantly revive a teammate at the cost of downing himself, and taking damage will cause Krieg to gain a Salt the Wound stack, which basically increases his melee damage and shotgun damage even more. And with that, we also get some of his better abilities. With the Release the Beast ability, Krieg, when near death, if he activates his Buzz Axe Rampage, will mutate into a badass Psycho and fully heals him upon activating this. So on to Tiny Tina's arsenal. So Tiny Tina has her Badonkadonks, which are not what you think they are. They are missiles with explosive stuffed bunnies strapped to them. These things are ridiculously powerful. She also has quite the ridiculous set of arsenal abilities. Despite not having much, we will be allowing her to have her puppy, which is a badass fire skag named Enrique. She also has a teapot, a corrosive pistol that has 3-round bursts. That is actually a 3-round burst when you aim down the sight, or a single shot when not aiming. Not to mention, it's super effective against foes wearing armor. She also has dice that she can throw at enemies, but this isn't exactly the most useful thing. So on to stats. Krieg using his weapons can easily tear through humans, skags, and even huge bullymongs, and he's shown the strength of his weapons to destroy cars as well as robots, and even with the help of other Vault Hunters, he's taken out the Son of Cromarax, Terramorphous, and even the Warrior. The Warrior could destroy planets. As for Tiny Tina, we don't have much on her. Well, strength-wise anyway, but we do know that her Badonkadonks could actually demolish a train, and her pistol can tear through people and robots with ease, as well as giant monsters. Obviously not the last 3 I mentioned on the Krieg thing, obviously it's not going to be able to do much against Terramorphous, Cromarax, or even the Warrior, but it's pretty ridiculous. When it comes to speed, Krieg is fast enough to dodge missiles, grenades, and gunfire from a variety of weapons, and Tiny Tina, while we don't quite know her exact speed, it's fair to say she's around this bullet dodging speed, as she survived on Pandora by herself, and she's only a 13-year-old. So, this is where we kind of get into the rest of this stuff. When it comes to durability, Krieg thrives on pain and constantly lights himself on fire. He also survived cannon fire and gunfire before, and the more damage he takes, the stronger he gets. As for Tina, she's a 13-year-old girl, but we do know this. She's tough enough to survive on her own, so we know she's capable of taking out a few enemies, and she's captured bandits before, so her durability clearly isn't that pathetic. So Krieg is a fucking psychopath who thrives on hurting people and himself. He actually has 2 personalities, but one is mentally unstable, and that's the one that's in control. However, he does have a very mentally stable one that is in the back of his mind. He's also an excellent warrior and very vicious, manslaughterer. As for Tina, she is unstable and she's a demolitions expert though. She's also great at bunkers and badasses. I mean, honestly, she's quite the amazing 13-year-old. When it comes to weaknesses though, Krieg thrives on harming himself to amp up his own stats. So this means he's always in a risky position and constantly has to be near death for combat. And when it comes to Tiny Tina, she lacks a lot of combat experience, only being 13 and really only giving you the explosives. She doesn't show much in the means of combat in game. Junkrat and Roadhog are driving through Pandora when they drive right over a mine that explodes not only them but their motorcycle, launching Junkrat and Roadhog into Tiny Tina's cave. Roadhog stands back up and picks up Junkrat by his neck. Junkrat looks into the cave and sees Tiny Tina and all of her explosives. Junkrat then laughs out in joy as Krieg walks over to Tiny Tina and turns his head and stares at both of them. Krieg then yells out, "I'm the conductor of the poop train!" Krieg runs at Roadhog with his buzz axe and then jumps in the air at Roadhog, who throws his hook out and pulls him in close. Krieg laughs as Roadhog fires his scrap gun into Krieg's chest. Krieg stumbles back bleeding a bit, but his shield absorbed most of the damage. Junkrat grabs his grenade launcher, but before he can shoot Krieg, he feels a burning pain in his shoulder as he looks down to see he looks over to see Tiny Tina holding a pink handgun. Junkrat runs over at Tina and throws a mine at her, throwing some mine at her face, blowing her up, knocking her back into her mini garage. Roadhog then looks at Krieg and yells out. Roadhog looks at Krieg, who yells out, "Strip the flesh, salt the wound." Krieg then runs over and slams his buzz axe into Roadhog's stomach, causing it to explode. Krieg backs up and pulls out a shotgun and fires it into Roadhog. Roadhog starts to turn purple as Krieg laughs out and shoots him with a flaming pistol, lighting Roadhog on fire. Roadhog pulls out a canister and inhales it, healing his wounds and putting out the flame and removing the purple from him. Junkrat laughs out in victory as the smoke clears, but then Junkrat sees Tiny Tina throw some dice in his face. Junkrat looks confused as Tiny Tina draws out her gun and shoots him in the gut multiple times. She then calls out her skag that comes coming in and tackles Junkrat to the ground and starts ripping open his chest with his teeth. Junkrat then grabs his jaws and throws him to the side as he shoots a grenade into his chest, blowing him up. Tiny Tina runs over and kicks Junkrat in the head, and then flips a switch, electrocuting him. Roadhog laughs as he pulls Krieg back with his hook and then punches him across the face with a powerful right hook. He then loads up his whole hog scrap gun and starts firing it and starts unloading into Krieg. Krieg lights himself ablaze and yells out in pain as he throws his buzz axe through the bullets and into Roadhog's gut. Krieg runs over and grabs his buzz axe, ripping out and spinning, removing Roadhog's arm. He then swings it one last time, decapitating Roadhog. Junkrat looks over in horror as he grabs his riptire and gets ready to activate it. But when Krieg throws his buzz axe, it goes straight through Junkrat's legs and the riptire, not only destroying it, but removing Junkrat's legs in the process. Tiny Tina then grabs Junkrat, straps both of his arms to opposite rockets and sends them flying in opposite directions, ripping Junkrat clean in half. Krieg then twirls his buzz axe and high-fives Tiny Tina. Alright, big thanks to Tank Daddy for providing some of the gameplay for the Junkrat and Roadhog area. Well, all of the gameplay, really. Just big thanks to him. Our winners are Krieg and Tiny Tina, and it's quite simple to see how they win, really. Junkrat and Roadhog clock in at about large building level, with destroying a really large building and being able to take hits from Winston. But Krieg is multi-continental with his weapons, let me specify that, as he's beaten the world-destroying warrior with the help of other Vault Hunters. He's also taken out the invincible Terramorphous with the help of other Vault Hunters, which is incredibly impressive. However, with the help of it, that was with the help of his team. Now, Tiny Tina's explosives can derail trains, and she has a gun that can rip through robots. Also very impressive. When it comes to speed, yeah, Junkrat and Roadhog, they can react freaky fast, being able to react to Tracer and draw quicker than 76. But that's not enough when Krieg constantly dodges machine gun fire and bazooka rounds. Not to mention Tiny Tina is quick enough that she should be able to dodge machine gun fire as well. Now, Roadhog does have self-healing, which would allow him to last longer than Junkrat will, but Krieg's weapons would be able to put him down in about 2 good attacks, especially when you factor in his stat boosters from getting hurt, and his other things like the tracking fireballs. Honestly, in all honesty, Krieg can take them both out on his own, and Tiny Tina's bombs and gun and puppy will actually be pretty useful in this match, but Krieg on his own could definitely take out both Junkrat and Roadhog. Now, Junkrat and Roadhog definitely have a better teamwork, but they simply don't have the stats and abilities to deal with Krieg and Tiny Tina's overwhelming arsenal and skill set and advantages in stats. Not to mention, all the damage they're going to do to Krieg, Junkrat and Roadhog will do to Krieg, is simply going to amp up his stats and make him stronger, faster, and just all around more ridiculous. They will literally be sealing their own fate with each bit of damage they do to Krieg. This was quite an explosive end for our Australian friends. Our winner is Krieg and Tiny Tina. Next time on Combo Breaker! You guys remember not too long ago I did Ryuko Matoi vs Venom? Yeah, that match was a shit stomp. So here's a little bit more of a fair sequel-ish match to that. That's right, next time we've got Carnage versus Nui Harame. First of all, let me thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this to any friends you know who like versus debates. And, tell me what you think of the next match. Give me your predictions, maybe suggest matches in the comments, and they might happen.